Hi, public speaking. Welcome to week 14. This week, we are continuing on with our persuasive speaking unit. I'm sure you already know that. It's like the last unit of the class. Um, there's like a couple little things you're going to do during finals week, but we'll get to that when we get there. The thing is with persuasive speaking, it's a really deep topic. There's all kinds of persuasive speaking strategies. You've been introduced to some of them in this class. If we had more time, or if this was like an honors level class or an advanced public speaking class, which I've taught in the past, we get even more into depth into some of these topics, and then we add some more advanced look at persuasion. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is so that you understand this is a really deep topic. Like it's got a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of different things that we could be talking about. And so for the 3 or 4 weeks that you're studying it in this class, we're studying the kind of most common, most useful types of things, but there's certainly a lot of other, at least for this application, there's certainly a lot of other types of persuasion out there as well. So keep that in mind, because one of the themes for this week, or not a theme, but part of the discussion for this week is actually to go out and just do a simple Google search and try to find some other topics, or this discussion on persuasive speaking here, to try to go find some other topics or articles, videos, whatever, all kinds of stuff. And granted, if you're on YouTube, some of it's going to be trash, some of it's going to be treasure. One of the things that I notice the most about looking for those types of videos on YouTube is that sometimes a video is both trash and treasure. But try to find something useful that you can share with your classmates, and then you're going to read 3 of those or watch 3 of those videos in response and then reply to that. So you just are going to get a little bit of extra content that way. Yeah, you're going to get extra content that way, and maybe it'll give the hope is that it gives you more understanding and more ideas for your speech, because if you start looking at social judgment theory, like we're going to talk about this week, that seems like a simple little thing because social judgment theory essentially says you want to try to move people from one place to another in your speech. So they might start off like pretty far away from where you are in terms of your opinion, and you're trying to move them towards your opinion. And depending on where they start off, you are only going to be able to move them so far in the amount of time you have. So it sounds pretty simple, but actually this is a pretty deep theory if you really get into it. And there's some ethical issues that it also raises. Like you don't want to manipulate somebody. Is a difference between persuasion and manipulation, largely due to ethics. So in any case, I could really use that information in my speech. Like that's a good strategy for me to employ in my speech, as long as I'm doing it in an ethical manner. So I want you this week to go out and find other strategies that we haven't already talked about. And trust me, there's going to be a whole bunch of them. There's so many really good articles on persuasion. So you could look at just persuasion, strategies, or persuasive speaking, lots and lots of different stuff, because we use this in our daily lives. I mean, communication is really persuasion. So I want you to go have a look at that, and the whole time while you're doing this, this whole unit in persuasion, it really brings up a lot of issues of ethics. So I want you to have that in mind. You want to pick strategies that are ethical. You want to have good ethical intentions, and you want to make sure that you're not misinforming anybody when you do go to give your speech. So your information needs to be accurate. If you know what cherry picking is, that's like where you only pick the information that supports your point of view. And that can be really easy to do with a persuasive speech, because you're trying to build a case, but you need to be more diverse in your selection of information than that, because that can also add in a level of bias that we don't want to see in a persuasive speech. So too much bias would be where you only tell one side of the story to the exclusion of the other side of the story. And yes, it is persuasive, but you've like violated some ethical boundaries there. Maybe you've lied. Maybe you didn't show the whole picture. Because there's ways that you could do that in a persuasive speech, and then you want to stay out of that. So, because it's unethical, and to a point, sometimes it could mean that you're lying, which is a different problem. But you don't want to lie. You want to use actual reality to form an argument to be able to make your speech. So keep ethics in mind, both in terms of writing your speech and in terms of some of these strategies as you're going out on the internet hunting for them. because like I said, even social judgment theory, which is on my page right here, right? Social judgment theory is a way people are persuaded, but there's ways to use it that are not ethical, so we want to stay away from those ways. My last point for this short video to open up this week is just about your topics. Remember, you need to pick something that's persuasive, not informative. So information will be used in the persuasive speech, but you're advocating for a point of view. So you don't want to just say dog breeds. That's an informative speech. You want to say something more controversial, direct, and what we should do. So I could take dog breeds and turn it into a speech about why certain types of dog breeds should or should not be banned in certain situations. You know, there's a pretty ongoing kind of controversy in our culture about pit bulls specifically and whether or not they should be banned, or banned or restricted or whatever. I mean, in some places they actually are. So, and I can tell you, you have to pay more in insurance if you have a dog that has either pit bull, German Shepherd, I'm forgetting the other two, Doberman, and Rottweiler, I think. So in any case, like that's a controversy in our culture, is that should that be okay? Because it turns out that pit bulls aren't any more likely to bite you than a Chihuahua. In fact, Chihuahua might bite you more frequently. So in any case, that's how I take a speech that dog breeds is an informative speech. I need a persuasive speech. I can't just tell you about the dogs. I use the evidence, the facts, and then try to form a compelling argument about a relevant social topic. So as you're editing your topics that you submitted a couple of weeks ago, think about that. You want to make sure that it's persuasive. As always, reach out to me, email me, stop by office hours if you're on campus. A lot of you aren't on campus, but contact me if you need help, okay? Have a good week.